Branding, sex trafficking, numerous accusations of horrific abuse. NXIVM cult leader Keith Rainere is now serving 120 years in prison for his barbaric crimes. But it wasn't just Keith who betrayed vulnerable women and girls seeking self-improvement. His top slave masters, including Smallville actress Allison Mack, are now serving time as well. Today, one of the Jane Does responsible for taking down NXIVM is here, revealing her full, shocking story and why she says Allison Mack is a monster.
They were stalking me. They hunted me like an animal.
You kind of entered into this really strange world of constant criticism and feedback.
They would ask you for anything that would damage your reputation, that would hurt the people that you love if it was exposed.
So when I saw that, my whole world collapsed, because that was the moment that I knew just how messed up this whole thing was, and that I had Keith Rainere's initials on my body.
Over the years, we've had many brave NXIVM survivors on the show, recounting the evils they suffered at the hands of convicted sex trafficker Keith Rainere and his top lieutenants at his so-called self-improvement organization. Rainere appointed actress Allison Mack as one of his chief recruiters, who lured unsuspecting women into an offshoot of NXIVM, a secret sex cult called DOS. Presented as a female empowerment group, it was really controlled by Rainere behind the scenes. Mack groomed the women to be sex slaves and collected embarrassing information to be used against them as collateral. She helped oversee DOS members being blackmailed, made to follow a stringent 500-calorie daily diet, pressured to have sex with Rainere, and having their skin branded with his initials. She even admitted to being the mastermind behind the branding ritual, which she discussed with Rainere in this chilling recording.
Do you think the person who's being branded should be completely nude and sort of held to the table like a, sort of almost like a sacrifice? I don't know if that's a feeling of submission.
Mack was charged with sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy. But after cooperating with the government, she pleaded guilty to charges of racketeering and racketeering conspiracy in 2019 and received just 3 years. The 39-year-old recently reported for her sentence at a low-security prison near San Francisco. Among the many courageous women who came forward to bring down Rainere and Mack is Jane Doe number 2, who's here today, revealing her full story to us. Jane Doe number 2's real name is Jessica Joan. She's also the author of the new book, The Untouchable Jessica Joan, and she joins us now. Thank you for being here. I took a look. I look at the book, but also I took a lot of your effort to get Keith Rainere brought to justice. How did you first join the cult?
So I first got involved because a friend introduced me to a presentation at her house, which is where I learned about NXIVM.
So as we showed in that piece, I've spoken to quite a few women who were brought in with this approach. India and Catherine Oxenberg were on the show last year talking about India's descent into NXIVM and her eventual escape. And I was moved by her deep regret over bringing anyone else into the cult, because that was part of what was happening. You were sort of passing it on. Now, Jessica says shortly after joining NXIVM, India invited her to join a secret subgroup called DOS. Now, you picked an interesting moniker for this. You called it the Lady Fight Club after the iconic movie.
Yes.
What was it actually like inside of this DOS subcult?
So how it was promoted to me and sold to me was that it was this woman's only empowerment program, a mentorship program to be these, powerful versions of yourself. And so at first it was really innocent, but as time led on, it became more nefarious.
So we now know that DOS actually wasn't only a women's only group. You know that as well. You helped prove it. When Jessica was in the cult, she was considered one of India's slaves. So let me explain this with this graph. So India is there, above Jessica. Then you have above her another master, Allison Mack. So it's a hierarchy. And then above Allison and all the other top-level masters was Keith Rainere, who's also called Vanguard. Do you think in retrospect that they were trying to groom you?
Yes, now I understand that they were.
And how would they do that?
So a lot of it was gaining trust. So what predators do is they want to build a sense of trust. I'm very familiar with this. And so, with Keith, he used women like India, like Allison, to build the sense of trust. And then slowly but surely having secrets and things that they could hold over you to have control and be able to manipulate you.
My goodness. So at the trial, you testified about a volleyball game. But something happened after one of the games that you mentioned at trial that I'd love you to share with the audience. I don't want to have you talk about things that would trigger you, but I know that it was an important moment.
Absolutely, and I think it's important for people to understand this in order to protect themselves. And so, because in my childhood I had experienced sexual abuse and trauma and had dealt with predators, thank you. There's a sense of like a sixth sense that you develop, right? Your space, and if they're just little triggers and little clues. And so one of the things that he did after volleyball, we were conversing with a group of people, and we were all just chatting. And out of what seemed nowhere, he like had his finger, and I was wearing a giant parka, so it was very subtle. But he drew a little circle like in my abdomen area, and he didn't even look at me. He was still conversing, so it was very strange. I just felt my personal space, being invaded, and it was just subtle enough to where it was predatory, where it was sending like a little signal.
So some women in DOS were forced to get a brand with Keith's initials, and they were even sexually assaulted by him. Did you know about these brands? Was there ever an overture to you to be intimately involved with Keith Rainere?
So the reason why I actually left, and when I saw that this was not what I signed up for, was when Allison gave me this special assignment. And the special assignment was to seduce Keith and have him take a naked photo of me.
What was the reason she gave you for wanting that to happen?
That's a great question. That's what I asked her. I said, I don't understand. What's the point of this assignment? This is weird. And she said that if I had done this assignment, it would get rid of all of my issues surrounding having been sexually abused. And the thing that was so menacing was after she gave me that assignment, which it was as if my whole world had crumbled, everything I thought that I signed up for, all of the betrayal, even just like my ego going through a whole roller coaster. When she ended the phone call, she said, "And I give you permission to enjoy it."
To enjoy what?
The special assignment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, knowing that as a little girl I had been abused, knowing that this would absolutely traumatize me, but had this sinister thing to say.
I'm sorry you went through that. These are details have not been discussed, at least with me in the past. All right, coming up, Jessica reveals what she says it was like to stare into Allison Mack's dead eyes. I'm back with NXIVM survivor Jessica Jones, who testified against cult leader Keith Rainere at his trial. Jessica has called Smallville star Allison Mack the Ghislaine Maxwell to Keith's Jeffrey Epstein. Has she ever apologized to you for all she put you through?
No, she didn't. She was very manipulative and very emotionally abusive. She was very unkind and menacing, and the only time that she offered an apology was right before her sentencing, which she was aware I was going to be giving a statement, and wrote a very empty-hearted letter.
Explain to me how you saw that letter and what it meant to you about her ability to emotionally connect with anybody. I mean, if she can't apologize to you when she really needs to apologize to you, what does it say about her?
Well, I mean, I said it in my victim impact statement. I believe she's a sociopath and a narcissist. And when I read the letter, there was no feeling in it. It was just, oh, I'm so sorry that I put you through this. This was all of Keith's beliefs that I fell for. And when I saw her and I gave my impact statement at her sentencing, I looked into her eyes and I was hoping there was going to be another person on the other end, and it was just blank. There was just nothing.
Dead inside.
Yes, absolutely.
So Allison Mack pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy and racketeering charges. She recently began a 3-year prison sentence, and some have pointed out that in some ways she was also a victim of Keith Rainere. Do you think that's true? Do you think that he manipulated her like she manipulated you? And what do you think about that sentence, the 3 years?
So I believe that everyone was a victim of Keith. It's pretty obvious, Allison included. However, that doesn't take away from the personal responsibility and the choices that she decided to make. And I do feel that she had a sense of an enjoyment having power over all of us. As far as her sentencing goes, you know, I respect the judge's decision, but I don't feel that that amount of time equates to the damage that she's done. This damage will last people their whole lifetimes.
It's interesting because you've highlighted it several times in the book that you're not a victim, you're a survivor. So what has NXIVM taught you about surviving? Something good must have come from it because you've steeled yourself.
Yes. So the funny thing is, what I was looking for in NXIVM and enlightenment and healing these traumas, I gained from it, but not in the way that you think. It's because I went through it and fortified myself and was under the fire that I was able to come out on the other side the way that I have. And the thing is, this might sound pretty, like, not crazy, I don't know the word for it, but the whole thing with NXIVM is small potatoes compared to what I went through in my childhood and in my upbringing.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're a strong woman.
Thank you.
Thank you for standing up and being counted. Her book is called The Untouchable Jessica Jones. You can find more at theuntouchabljessicajones.com. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.